It's Monday. That means it's Setup Monday for BNC. I want to first highlight Enzyme, which is a non-custodial portfolio management tool. We have a long, short ETH, BTC, and USD fund through Tekami Capital there, which I control and am the decision maker. So if you want to check that out, you can see who's depositing and when, and how much is there, and when I'm trading and what. So if you're curious what someone like me might be doing in these turbulent times, you can either copy trade me or check that out. And I'll leave that in the description of the video below. Let's talk about BTC first. And really, we had 2 weeks ago, we had that inverted head and shoulders set up. That played out for BTC beautifully. We had new all-time highs on BTC. And now I think this next week is going to be a bit of a chop week. There's not a lot of impetus to do one thing or another. I don't really see any massive setups that are screaming like they were on the inverted head and shoulders trade. You don't always get setup after setup after setup. Usually it's setup, maybe it's a month. You usually get one setup a month that's like good and juicy, and you want to take that trade, and it hits your targets or it hits your stop loss or whatever happens, but it's the quality of the setup that I look for personally if I'm trading on the lower time frames. If we zoom way out, look at the high time frames, we are super close to breaking out of the 2-year MA multiplier, which is the green line here. The red line is 5 times the 2-year MA multiplier. And we've done this on every bubble going back to even pre-2013. And when we do this, we typically have 3 or 4 good weeks of insanity, of blow off top, of sheer bedlam to the upside. You can see I'm just really, again, the comparisons to 2017 are very clear, because what I'm about to say next is, doesn't this look like a rising wedge? And it looked like a rising wedge the entire time here, right? In 2017, you're getting higher highs and higher lows that are tighter and tighter and tighter, and we actually broke out of that to the upside. So to me, rising wedges are bullish. Rising wedges are bearish. Falling wedges are bullish. It doesn't always happen in crypto though. So the big thing is, if we do break 67, 68, whatever this multiplier ends up being, if we do break above that, then that is the beginning of the end for sure. You can hope it's a super cycle and you can pray to the hopium gods, but I'm telling you right now, based on what I see historically, that will be the beginning of the end. Now that doesn't mean we can't go to 500,000 per BTC, right? It doesn't mean price can't go very high. But when it does so, it's going to do that very quickly, and it's going to get tired very quickly, and it's going to crumble very quickly. And you can see how it reacted each time here. So I will talk about this every week. Just check in on it. Right now, it's actually best that we do a bunch of nothing for the next few weeks. Nothing is good here. Nothing means we have months and months to go. If we break 68, it means we have a couple weeks left, realistically, and then it's probably bear market 6 months to a year. Looking at the daily cloud support, the Kijun's at 45.6, which is a good rebuy. There was a bear div on all this on the way up. Volume is declining on everything. So I think in general the market is just a little tired. Momentum's a little tired up here and needs some time. That's my read on this. You can see how kind of slow each of these rises were. So to see a new high so quickly is a bit much for the accumulation side of things. People haven't really had a chance to get in, and they don't seem too excited to get back in at all-time highs. So that's the level I'll be watching this week. Should we get that low? I'm not saying we will, but that's where I'd like to rebuy. Here's that rising wedge on declining volume. Now, for me, it's not bullish. A lot of people are going to disagree with that, but I don't see it as a bullish pattern. And if we switch gears to ETH is kind of in a bit of a no man's land, because it's waiting on a few things. Fundamentally, it's waiting on that EIP 1559, which is coming July, maybe. It's waiting on Uniswap version 3 to move to layer 2. It's waiting for some more throughput and fees to go down. If fees are high, price isn't really going to go anywhere. That's just the name of the game. You can denominate it in ETH or USD, it doesn't matter. You're pricing people out of the game as long as fees are high. So fees need to come down in order for this thing to keep going. It's that simple. If we look at support, I like the previous all-time high horizontal at around 1400. If we retrace to 1400, then we'll set up this nice M double top, which is gonna beg for some additional downside. There's also a potential edge-to-edge move through April from 16 to 12. So a lot more shades of bearishness here than bullishness, and I can't really look at this in a bullish manner at the moment. I can't get excited to buy here, especially with the bearish TK cross above the cloud, which traditionally tells you to get out of any long that you're in since the beginning, which would have been October. So if this crosses bearish, you're out. That's it. End of story. If this recrosses bullish in the next day or the next week, as it did here, this is kind of a map of the possibility. You can see everything went up, crossed bearish, recrossed bullish, and then it went off again. So that is a proper accumulation. That is 3 months, 4 months, however long it took. That's the easier setup. It's the easiest setup to trade because it tells you right where to do it, right? Boom, right here. This says boom, go long. If this crosses, it says boom, you're out. That's it. So that's what I'm watching big time here in the next week or two, along with this edge-to-edge move into April. ETH-BTC has been just a random walk for me since, I don't know, 2018. It's had its moments of patterns. It had an Adam and Eve here, inverted, broke down, diamond that broke down that should have broke up if it was a reversal, some sort of weird W, some sort of weird triangle W thing, another Adam, Eve, Adam, I don't know. It's a hot mess. I don't trade this pair directly, but I think if you believe in the power, the strength of EIP 1559, then you are beginning to rotate into ETH-BTC from whatever makes sense, whether that's BTC or something else. And you're probably just continuing to add to a position all the way down to 025, 024, basically this previous low. And your stop loss is probably 018, whatever below this is. You just need a really wide berth here if you're accumulating in this zone. And your targets are probably 0.8 to 0.1, definitely above 0.5 if you think ETH is really going to overtake BTC. If you have conviction and you really want to take that side of the bet, that's what I would be doing here right now, is just buying any dips slowly over time, buying all the way down to 0.24, stop loss 0.18, target 0.1. It's kind of a 5x or slightly less. If you're right, you're going to make a boatload of money. If you're wrong, you're not going to lose that much money. Realistically, if your stop is somewhere near 0.19 or 0.17, something like that. But this thing is going to take some time if it happens, for sure. LTC BTC, this is the 2-day. Unlike BTC USD, which has a rising wedge, LTC BTC has a falling wedge with a multi-month bullish divergence, which means as price is going lower and lower and lower and lower, momentum is getting weaker and weaker and weaker for the bears, suggesting bearish momentum is nearing its end. So it's attempted to break out several times. It's looked okay several times to the upside, but just been unable to do so. This is another one of those trades where you have to give it a wide berth. You have to be patient. Even I'm considering actually trading this because it looks so good on technicals. You can think LTC is hot garbage. That's fine. I don't care. It doesn't really matter to me. It's more about the setup here. The setup is certainly very favorable for a reversal, at least a 2x, if it breaks 0.8, which it might historically. The one other time it was down here, it did. It went all the way up to 0.17, 0.15. The issue with, just like Doge, when the BTC pair moves, it doesn't let you get on the boat. You have to be already on the boat at the port, have your ticket in hand, ready, and sort of eating these lows. Not even knife catching, but just ready to go, right? You can't pull up to the port unless you're willing to get wet, I guess, in the water. Play around down here. Any lower lows here have to be a buy for me. They just have to be. And if it's an all-time low, even better. All-time lows on multi-month bullish divergence, I'll take that bet. at this point, especially if BTC is sideways doing a bunch of nothing. So I really like this setup to the upside. You know, I don't know if it's going to work out. Maybe your stop loss is 0.025 and you're just sort of adding here on any lows. I don't know. But it looks good. It really looks good, honestly. I'd consider leverage depending on what the margin call was for that. Like BTC, it's kind of at the last legs of support. If you look at the pitchfork, pick 3 points, you get a rate of change. And I'm adding wings here because we had a wing all the way out here. So we can say, okay, if it was this overbought and turned back in, we can say with reasonable confidence that it's this oversold, it might turn back in back to this median line. And the last support I would watch would be 0.45. The market might want to reconnect with this low. You would hope for an Adam Eve situation. So this would probably be a multi-week bounce, slow. But as far as the rebuy, if this is real, you're probably not going to get a much better rebuy than something between 37,000 sats and 45,000 sats. I mean, that's realistically, if this is going to bounce, that's where it's going to bounce. Otherwise, it's done. It's headed for 0.1 or something silly like that all the way down. And then lastly, I was looking at just all the exchange tokens. They all kind of look like this, where they've got this rising channel going on. This is Sushi. You can look at Uni, see the same thing. Sushi BTC has a messy potential inverted head and shoulders that could break up this week. So I think depending on BTC and how this looks throughout the week, if this can hold 55, 53, 54, 52, I think alts will be okay. If this does actually retrace to 45, I think alts are going to take a big hit. You know, if BTC retraces 10%, alts will retrace 25%. That's just the way the cookie crumbles. So alts do better, alts do best when BTC is at all-time highs and it's consolidating. So it's currently a potential situation. The reason this is because people are rotating from BTC into alts. They're looking for the next trade. That's all I have for this week. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and happy trading.